Greetings, Immanuel. Pastor Dave here, checking in to say hi, just share a little something from my heart this week. So, I love reading the Gospels, okay? You can read those over and over and over again, and every time I do it, I feel like I learn something new. And what's been standing out to me recently is Jesus' interactions really with the religious leaders of the time. These leaders were basically known as people who knew the law, they knew all the rules, and they followed them to a T. But Jesus kept challenging those people over and over again, right? And it seems like Jesus was teaching them that really following the rules, it just wasn't enough. So why isn't it enough to follow the rules? Why doesn't that make us worthy if there are rules to follow and we do it all? Why did the Scribes and Pharisees, these are the ones who knew it all and did it all right, why did they fall so short? They did everything right, didn't they? And I mean, I grew up with a similar mentality. I mean, I grew up going to church like 5 times a week. That's kind of all I knew. And I thought that as long as I did everything right, I'd be safe. I would be in. You know, I was a really good kid, believe it or not. And I know it's hard to believe, but I really rarely broke the rules. And even when I did, I kind of ratted myself out and told my parents on myself. So that's the kind of kid I was. I was just super concerned. I just didn't want to do the wrong thing. I was really concerned about not getting to heaven. So I did my best to follow the rules. I'm kind of like the Pharisees. But it wasn't until I learned really to wrestle with the rules that I began to grow in my faith. So most of you know that I have a son, JJ, and he's about my size now. We're about the same height and weight, and he's just like a big, strong kid. But our love language for, 14 years has been wrestling. That's what we do. That's how we interact. That's how we, show our love for each other. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but we wrestle. I might now be regretting that that's our love language because he is almost bigger than me. But for now, I can beat him. But every so often we get into one of these really good matches, and he's just a tough kid. And he's gotten tougher over the years. He didn't start out this tough, but he's now really, really strong. And I think this wrestling together has really proven to make him a stronger person. And in our battles about who's stronger, he knows that I am, of course, but he wants to push himself. So he gets back in that wrestling ring over and over and over again. And this is what ultimately I think the law is all about. I think that's what Jesus meant when he had his Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. He talks about, have you heard that it was said, but I say to you. So he's referring to the law, but also those who, like the Pharisees and the Scribes and the Sadducees, those who kind of shared the law with the people. He was saying, you've heard that it was said about these laws, but I'm taking you deeper. For example, it's in wrestling with the law of do not commit adultery that we encounter something deeper. We encounter our own hearts. We encounter our own misplaced desires. We encounter something more basic, something more substantive. And we arrive ultimately, like Jesus taught, at a place of, even if you've lusted after a woman, you've already committed adultery in your heart. So what Jesus is doing is he's forcing us to wrestle with these laws. He's forcing us into the wrestling ring, forcing us to wrestle with concepts that will stretch us, that will make our hearts more pliable and more willing to be molded into Jesus' image. And that's the journey of a Christian, wrestling with and growing tougher and growing together with our God, with our Creator, with our Father, Son, and Spirit. In that journey we become more and more into who Christ wants us to be. And I don't mean to sound like I'm simplifying it. But But I think that's what Jesus was calling out in these religious leaders of the day. They were the ones who knew it all. They had all the answers. But Jesus was saying, there's more than that. It's more than just knowing all the rules and following them. So that's my challenge to you this week. Read through Matthew chapter 5 and beyond. Read the whole Sermon on the Mount. What is God saying to you? Where are you being stretched? What are you wrestling with when you read that Sermon on the Mount? And then go back and read through the Gospels. What stands out? What is God calling you to wrestle with? And really that's the journey of faith. It's not simply doing all the right things. It's spending time talking and struggling and working with the Spirit to strip away the things that keep us from God and adding in the things that makes us more holy. So, Immanuel, I love you. Have a great week. You are prayed for, you are known, you are loved, and we're on this journey together. Have a great week. Blessings.